tax levy. We will be voting on that during our regular meeting later tonight. This is kind of the final opportunity here for the public or anyone that signed up to speak to our proposed fiscal year 2027 budget and proposed property tax levy. Just informational purposes here. Rules in our public hearings are basically things need to be done in an orderly and respectful manner. It's not a debate. The speakers who have signed up will be recognized by the board president. That's me. In the order that they appear on the sheet, you'll have one opportunity to speak. Any unused time will not be allowed to carry over to another speaker for their usage. We only have one name on the list, Jesse Howard, and so Jesse, you go ahead and roll with it, but kind of try to be cognizant of time the best you can. But I won't shut you down at 3 minutes. I'll probably just kind of let you know when you're there, and then if you need to wrap up, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
There's not a podium, so I just sit here.
Can, yeah.
Okay, that's nice. Jesse Howard, 505 West Adams Street. Good evening. I rise today to speak on behalf of a group of constituents that do support everything going on at New London Community School District and the entire community of New London. I'm here tonight as a parent and a taxpayer. I want to take a minute to highlight something important. Over the last decade, our district has grown from about 500 students to 586 students today, based on the latest Iowa Department of Education data. That's nearly a 20% growth over the last 10 years. Now for context, the most recent official population data we have shows New London, Iowa at 1,910 residents and Henry County, Iowa at 20,400 according to the 2020 census. While other communities in Henry County are struggling with declining population, New London remains in a growth mindset, and through partnerships between the city and the school, people are investing in our small community. Here's what stands out to me. Over the last 10 years, we've added 30 plus new homes across two developments in New London. People are truly investing here, and our school is growing right alongside that. That tells us something. Families are making a choice, they're choosing New London, and they're choosing the experience we've created for kids in our small town. That's culture, that's leadership, that's community. This is personal for me. As a 2002 graduate of New London, I'm incredibly grateful for what the school and this community has done for me and our family. When it came time to raise a family, Casey and I chose this place for a reason. Our two kids attend New London School District, and two will one day join their dad as a Tiger alumni. Because we believe in it, once a Tiger, always a Tiger. I want to take a moment to say thank you to the school board, to the superintendent, and to the SBO. Thank you for stepping up to serve. As board members, as I'm well aware, this is an often thankless job. It takes long hours, sacrifice, and in many cases, it's like taking on a part-time job, all on a volunteer basis. We as a community see that, and we appreciate your work. And to the administration, our teachers, parents, bus drivers, and every staff member in this district, thank you. Thank you for showing up every single day, for pouring into our kids, and for doing the work that doesn't always get recognized. And as a community, we don't say it enough, but we are grateful. I'm here tonight as a parent and a taxpayer to say thank you for being intentional in the work you do and for always putting kids first. Your mission statement says, the mission of the New London Community School District through the combined resources of school, home, and community is to guide, challenge, and motivate lifelong learning in an environment that fosters individual success, mutual respect, pride, and personal accountability. Those aren't just words. That's what we're seeing in the work you do every day. I want to share a reflection I had yesterday while sitting in church. I found myself thinking about where we are, not just in New London, but all over Iowa and across the entire country. It feels like we're in a bit of a storm right now. Funding for education isn't keeping up with inflation. We're dealing with underfunded schools and oftentimes unfunded mandates. And yet here we are, still moving forward, still doing the work. And what that requires from us is very simple, but not easy. It takes faith, it takes working together, it takes embracing differences, not letting them divide us, but bring us together. And it takes leading by example for our kids because they're watching us, our every move. They're the next generation of leaders. I want to highlight two of your guiding principles and remind us all that we each have a role in this work. We support pride for our school, our community, and our country. Those are your words for your guiding principles. And it is necessary for our schools to be a safe and secure environment where mutual respect, responsibility, and compassion are the center of learning. That's not just the school's responsibility, that's everyone's focus. The 2016 bond passed with an 88% support from this community. That doesn't happen without trust. And paying that bond off early in June while continuing to lower taxes by even 2 cents today shows that trust is being honored. And at the end of the day, people aren't just living here, they're investing in. They're choosing our school. And if we stay focused on that, we're going to keep moving in the right direction. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Okay. Well, we have one sign up, so just to again reiterate, this will be an agenda item in our regular meeting where we will vote on this proposal. So we'll take that up after a while here. Anything else? Okay, that brings an end then to our public hearing on the proposed property tax levy and our 2027 financial report. Anybody need a break before we go into, for any reason? Okay. We will move then into our regular April meeting. To welcome everyone tonight, start with Pledge of Allegiance, flag back in this corner. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Public forum. A few things here. The board sets aside a specific time for public comment. The subject matter of these comments will be limited to posted agenda items. Citizens with specific comments about items not listed on the agenda are encouraged to follow Board Policy 213.01 on public complaints in the hopes of resolving issues at the lowest level possible. Only speakers who have signed up will be recognized by the board president, who will announce the name and the agenda item to be commented on. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes at the discretion of the board president. The board will listen to the comments but will not discuss them or take any action during this time. Comments by others will be deemed out of order and the offender may be asked to leave. Defamatory comments may be subject to legal action. Okay. First on our list here is Liz Cockler, board figures.
Yes,
I'm not sure where that,
those are my questions around in regards to.
but I'm not sure what agenda item that is.
Well, we're talking about finances,
Okay?
and so I have questions on the finances and the figures that you have
Okay,
posted.
you're welcome to make your comments in the 3 minutes, but we will just listen. There won't be any discussion, answers.
That's fine.
So on and so on.
That's fine.
Okay?
On April 13th of 2026, I submitted a letter to the board outlining numerous financial figures from the board's own reports, along with many specific questions about those figures. Only 2 of you have responded, and that was Jessica Boyer and Mike Macbeth. In Mr. Macbeth's response, he cited that there is a chain of command process that the board has to follow. However, there is no specific policy documenting this process on the New London Community School District's website. I am aware that the Iowa Department of Education advises community members to work directly with district staff to resolve concerns. I did exactly that and was told that the superintendent would be compiling the responses. I did not receive any response. That is not acceptable here. These questions are about the board's own reports, the board's own decisions, and the potential conflict of interest involving the superintendent himself. Mr. Walls is not in a position to independently answer certain questions on these decisions that the board is making. I'm asking the board, not the superintendent, to answer these questions. That is the board's responsibility. I am here tonight to ask each of you in person for answers on the following question. Were the June and July 2025 bond payments ever transferred out of the SAVE fund? Is the district in compliance with its debt obligations? When can we anticipate the November 2025 auditor's findings to be made public? What is the contractual basis for payments with Clayton Ridge Community School District? Across 3 documented billing cycles, there is $51,742.13 for open enrollment and SPED services. Who authorized this arrangement and when? Does Chad Walls have family relations?
Ms. Guckler, I'm not gonna let you go into personnel things.
Okay, I have other questions.
I can't do that, so please don't mention names and that, or I'll have to stop.
On what basis did the board approve a superintendent raise given the financial picture that we're looking at right now? I am not here to be adversarial. I am here because this is a public issue. These are public funds, these are public records, and this community deserves public answers tonight on the record. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Chelsea Boker, board future planning again. Where's Chelsea?
Financial,
I'm
just
not
the future
sure
of
what
our financial.
agenda.
Well, we're
Excuse me.
talking about our financial reports and our future planning, correct?
We're talking about finances, yes, at some
Okay.
point, correct.
Okay.
All right, you got 3 minutes.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
First of all, thank you all for being here. My name is Chelsea Boker, and I'm here to speak on my comments on the future and where do we go from here. I'll be brief because the time for talk is over and the time for accountability is here. I'm sitting here today to express a profound disappointment shared by many in our community. We are disappointed in the lack of transparency, the lack of openness to the public, and the growing sense that this board is no longer earning the trust of the family it serves. Based on our own treasurer's reports and financial audits, it's clear we are failing this district financially. Based on the feedback I received from teachers, staff, and students, we are failing this district. While we have cash today, our long-term stability is crumbling. We are being told we must move our 6th graders back to elementary, disrupting their education and overloading teachers for a patch for a right now solution. Why are we using our children as a budget buffer? Why are we sacrificing classroom stability before we maximize state incentives like administration sharing? It is fiscally irresponsible to move students like furniture when there are other options available. This isn't about numbers anymore, it's about leadership. It's time for the board and the administration to set aside your egos and stop focusing on protecting titles and start focusing on protecting our kids. If we continue to make these for right now decisions instead of growth-focused ones, we will not have a school, in my eyes, in the years to come. Our community's future depends on you working together as a board and figuring out where the money is going and being brave enough to make the right cuts, not the easy ones. We deserve transparency. Our kids deserve a future. Our teachers deserve that same level of respect. So please focus on the students or there won't be a district left. And I know there's not a lot of parents here, but I do just want to say this because this is all coming from your teachers, and I hope I can say this. Start holding your kids accountable. Your teachers are tired. They need you at home to be present and to start holding your kids accountable for the actions that they're doing. Maybe then the school administration will start holding them accountable too. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, those were the 2 we had signed up then for public forum. Move on to number 4, approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Make a motion to approve.
Is there a second? Done. Discussion?
So this is my 6th month on, and every month I ask that a couple of things get put on the agenda so we can discuss them, and I've yet to have anything placed on there. So is there another procedure that you wish that we would go through?
Are you talking to me? I'd like to have a majority of the board present me with your topics of concern for that to be put on. And one of the specific topics of concern that you continue to ask about was reviewed, I believe, a year ago. They are to be reviewed every 5 years. It unanimously was approved. You weren't on the board, Lindsay was still there. It was unanimously approved. I believe Becky made the motion to approve that, and I'm not sure on the second. So in my opinion, I don't feel that that particular policy needed to be looked at again until I heard from at least the majority. Since it had been reviewed, it was unanimous in voting. So that's how I would answer that to you.
But I don't feel comfortable reaching out to another board member to say, hey, I would like this to be on the agenda.
Would you feel better if I reached out to them?
I just don't understand why one person wouldn't be enough. Like, for instance, just
I don't
financials.
I don't understand why we would want to continue to review something that had just been reviewed within the last year and unanimously approved by 4
Right, okay,
current members.
so that's public
So-
forum, but I mean, like financials, if we could have a work session or something about financials, or the open enrollment question that I had, or
I would
just
say,
for
have
discussion.
you ever started that with Janae or Janae and Chad as the financial?
Well, I always email you and chat at the same time, so.
I would say, have you ever reached out though with your financial concerns to Janae since
And she
she's,
has answered me this.
Okay.
But I firmly believe that board discussion should happen at the table, so that's why I don't wanna, call somebody and just say, hey, like be in cahoots to get something here. I would just assume, and that's my bad, that if I asked and it was an appropriate topic, that it would be put on the agenda. That's all, I just must not be the process.
okay?
But Mike, I'd like to say too, I mean, when we were talking here, was it a month ago, a couple weeks ago, I can't keep it straight now, when we went to the Friday PDs, and I think it was Kyle that said, we can try this, if it doesn't work, we can always go back. I mean, I know you're saying we don't have to review the policies for 5 years, but, things maybe need to change.
So what I said was, I don't understand why we would want to go back to review something that had just been reviewed within the last year, and 4 of the 5 current members, you included, who made the motion,
I remember that, and I
Yeah.
remember that it was a pretty hostile.
and why we ended up doing.
I do,
And
but I don't know
also-
if everything has been, I just think it would be nice to maybe go back and look at it again.
Well, let me ask you that. Okay, no, I won't ask you that. I'll consider. But you do understand popular or not popular. I sit down with Chad to make the agenda, and people may like it, not like it. I have to try to sift through what I think is best and most pressing to put on here when I do that, or when Chad and I sit down to discuss that. And that's spelled out in board policy as far as the procedure, who does what, duties of a president, so on and so on. I don't.
The goal is to get us all, not on the same page, but where we can
Right.
talk and get
Right.
things taken care of like.
And I
Chelsea
agree,
said.
there's things that I think we need to, that's not one of them. Now,
Well, that's, I guess, your opinion.
it is, but unfortunately, since I kind of make this up, and since I'm basing it on what I think is pretty solid or pretty sound reasoning, and now the financial thing, I mean, if Jessica has talked with Janae and Janae hasn't really sifted through this in a satisfactory manner, I guess, or you still have additional concerns or questions on what Janae's telling you, or providing you for information, let me know.
I do every month.
So you're telling me that she's not providing you with solid
It's
information?
not really on Janae's shoulders.
Well, sure it is. You're questioning finances.
Janae is very capable. She is still learning.
Then why
She
don't
has
we
stepped
listen
in.
to her when she tells us things?
I do, but there is a bigger picture that I would like to discuss as a board, but we can't discuss it because it's never on the agenda. So I'm not here to throw Janae under the bus. So that's
Seems
why.
like
It does?
But anyway, okay, I'll consider it. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, there was a motion made and seconded to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Was that unanimous? Okay. Number 5, approval of the consent agenda. That includes minutes of previous meetings, financial reports, and claims. Today? Yeah, well, let's start with this. Is there a motion? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve approval of the consent agenda.
Is there a second? Okay, now, discussion. Maybe before we have discussion, Janae, do you have anything in regard to financial reports, claims?
I do. I prepared a report. It's kind of lengthy, so bear with me. And I wrote it all out so I don't lose track of what I wanted to say. So we've heard tonight some of the concerns, but recently there have been a lot of emails to the board requesting pointed questions about the finances of the district. And I wanted to address those concerns as a whole. It might help if some of you understood the background on myself. I grew up in New London. My parents are also both from New London, and all of us, my whole family, including my parents, attended New London Community School District. I received my Bachelor of Science in Accounting from Truman State University and spent the next 25 years as a revenue agent, tax analyst, and manager of those positions for the IRS, almost exclusively working with tax-exempt entities and state and local governmental agencies. During that time, I spent 9 years in municipal bonds, where I was asked to solely perform research on a new type of bonds passed by legislation and provide my report on a weekly basis to the President of the United States. I received a Commissioner's Award, one of the highest accolades you can receive from the Commissioner of the IRS for this type of work. During the last half of my IRS career, I managed agents responsible for both auditing and performing compliance checks on exempt organizations, state and local governments, tax-exempt bonds, retirement plans, and Indian tribal governments. I'm not divulging this information to toot my own horn, but rather to establish my credibility with the community, the board, and the district employees that I will continue to uphold the highest level of due diligence and care with district funds as I did in my previous roles with the federal government. I was trusted at the highest levels of federal government with ensuring taxpayer dollars were properly utilized, and I will continue in the same manner in this position. If you recall, there was a shakeup at the IRS over a year ago, and I had the option to take early retirement and move back home. I was thrilled because it allowed me to raise my 3-year-old daughter in the place I grew up, with a lot of family and friends to help me. With its recent growth on Main Street and the new families moving in, it has provided a small town charm and safety that I didn't feel my daughter had in St. Louis. I was excited to also obtain a position that aligned perfectly with my desire to serve. Therefore, I have a vested interest in the sustainability of this school. I want my daughter to attend and graduate from the best district around, at least as far as I'm concerned. I think that's something that everyone in this room, everybody in this community, that we all want. But we won't get there by tearing each other down. For that sustainability to occur, some things need to change. Let's stop dwelling on the past. I've heard since I've moved here, Janae inherited a mess. It's not Janae's fault. I don't want to burden her with that. Well, the bottom line is, Were some of the book transactions incorrect? Yes. Were the bank recs not timely completed? Yes. Were there ever funds missing or payments not accounted for? No, not as far as I have observed. I have worked with the Department of Education, finance staff, the district's auditor, Iowa school finance staff, and my assigned mentor from the Iowa Association of School Business Officials to correct the mistakes previously made. The bank recs are now current, and as you can see from the attached report. Over the past few weeks, I've been working closely with the staff at Iowa School Finance, and they've assured me that they see the same thing when looking at our finances. We are stable. Do we need to cut spending to ensure future growth? Yes, but is that different from any other school district in the state? There's a little over 2 months left in the current fiscal year. I will be focusing my attention and time on the tasks needed to wrap up the fiscal year and prepare for the next. Unless otherwise directed by the superintendent or school board president, I will no longer address questions from the past 2 years. I was not in the position here, and I can only speculate about what occurred. Errors that occurred from the past 2 years have been corrected and our books are current. If you would like to ever discuss the district's finances, since I began in July, I have an open door policy. I'd be happy to address any questions or concerns. If I can't fully address your question, I will find someone who can. And I'm going to continue, sorry. So I wasn't at the last board meeting, but I want to take a moment to address the cash flow question there because I think it's important to understand school finance. School finance is not always consistent. Like other functions of a school, there are items that can occur once a year, twice a year, or only on occasion. While some revenue is consistent, some revenue streams are not. For instance, tax revenues may vary from month to month depending on collection by the counties. An example of this inconsistent cash flow occurred in February. The district paid $404,477.80 in open enrollment, concurrent enrollment, and special education to other districts for first semester billing. And we also paid our sharing agreements in the amount of $30,672.47 for the transportation director, special ed director, and HR. These amounts are typically only paid 2 times a year on a per semester basis. The bills are due to other schools not later than 2/15 for the first semester billing. During my new SBO training, we were encouraged to be a good neighbor and pay those invoices timely. The district had enough money in the general fund to cover such expenses, so I paid all the bills we received through the board meeting, knowing that we would be receiving more revenue in open enrollment, concurrent enrollment, and special ed than we would pay out to other districts. If you deduct those amounts plus the sharing agreements from the expenses paid in February, the remaining expenditures would have been $641,462.92, which is well below the revenues of the month of $756,317.93. Lastly, we still were to receive at that board meeting over $500,000 in open enrollment, concurrent enrollment, and special ed from 3 school districts, Mount Pleasant, Fort Madison, and Burlington, all of which were received as soon as I returned from my vacation. If you review last month's finances and the finances I provided tonight, you will see that we do not need to worry about the state of the general fund. I just want to close with this. The district leaders and overseers, Mr. Walls, Mr. Palmentier, Mr. Kraft, the board, myself, teachers and staff of this district have a difficult job. They are tasked daily with making decisions that are never going to satisfy every single person in this community, but they do so with the best interest of the community, the district, and most importantly, what is best for all kids in the district, whether or not it may positively or for a brief time negatively impact their child. There are things that they are not allowed to discuss publicly, which sometimes keeps them from being able to defend some of their choices and actions. While it may be difficult to not have all the answers to a situation you want, there are rules surrounding the privacy of students and staff. Each and every person who serves the district does so because they believe in the same mission, helping, teaching, and administering to the kids of this community and others who call the district home. I have been observing them for nearly a year, and I can tell you that they take pride in their work. It would be nice if we could work together to show support of our district instead of tearing it apart. If you don't understand a decision, certainly ask questions, but follow a chain of command outlined in board policy. But please consider asking in a way that facilitates discussion rather than makes accusations. And lastly, please extend grace if mistakes occur. We're all humans, so it's going to happen. But know that we are all just doing the best that we can each and every day to provide the best environment for our kids. Thank you.
Okay, discussion. Any? Yes.
What'd you say?
Any discussion? Okay, so we had a motion and seconded to approve the consent agenda, which included the minutes of the previous meeting, financial reports, and claims. All in favor of approving that, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Number 6, fundraisers. We have A, esports t-shirt sales, B, baseball apparel sales, C, softball apparel sales, and D, FFA silent auction. As we've done in the past, we can go individually through those if you guys want to, or we can just do them all as a group if you're comfortable with that.
I'll make a motion. Do them all together.
Okay?
I make a motion to approve the esports and the baseball and softball apparel and FFA.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Kyle. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of approving fundraisers, esports, baseball, softball, apparel sales, and FFA silent auction, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimously there, Janae. Number 7, reports. Letter A, Superintendent, Mr. Walls.
So earlier, I guess, at the end of last week, I emailed you all about an opportunity to, through ISD, to attend a workshop on Student Success Summit on June 9th. It's at Ankeny. It looks like something that we can get up and drive down in the morning to, and then come home up that afternoon. It's like, I think, a 9 to 3:30 type of meeting. So Jen has let me know, and Jessica's let me know for both can attend. So if anyone else wants to attend, I think June 9th is Thursday. Right. Thursday. Just let me know, and then I can get you signed up and you can join. May is Board Recognition Month, so right after the meeting, we can all just go somewhere and get a picture. We want to have a picture of everybody together, so I'd like to get a picture. So we do some things for that as well. I also have in there just an update about the math position, and I can talk again about this when we get down to the building structures. But we did have a candidate that was from a different country, but was currently in the United States teaching for a year, apply. So we did interview that individual. It was an okay interview. At the end of the interview, though, they asked if we would be willing to sponsor them. So what legal terms that go into that is that you would obviously hire a legal representation for immigration status and stuff. And so just in a quick review from my attorney, it could be anywhere from minimal as $5,000 to $10,000, but you never know. It could go up to $100,000 and stuff in costs. We did have one other person reach out to Mr. Kraft in an email while we were, I think, meeting one night. This individual lives in Arizona. They were a person that lived just between New London and Mount Pleasant here growing up. They had a little bit of an interest in it. We emailed them about it, and they talked briefly the next day. And that individual is an assistant principal in Arizona right now, and they oversee a department of 14 math teachers. At the end of their conversation, it was said that she would get back to him next week, which was last week, if she had an interest of entertaining an interview. Mr. Kraft heard nothing back, and so he reached out to her in an email mid-late last week and got no response back on any interest of that. So to date, we still have not been able to secure a math teacher for high school for next year. That is all I have.
Good. And for Ted? Okay, middle school, high school principal, Mr. Kraft.
So we're entering that time. I can't believe there's only 24 days left of the school year. It's that time we get to really start celebrating our kids and doing some different things. First up being our community day, which is Wednesday. So we have a few jobs out in the community we're going to be going and doing. Helping with the ball field, helping a couple businesses, helping some elderly. And if anybody knows anybody else, we're certainly willing to take some more jobs. We don't have a lot this year, so hopefully we get a few more between now and then. Spring concerts, April 29th. It's always fun to see the progression from kindergarten all the way through high school. So that'll be happening Wednesday night of next week in between our track meets. And then for our seniors, we get to celebrate them at the end of the month. We have our senior spotlight on the 12th, where we highlight each senior, talk about their accomplishments and what their plans are for the future. Our staff puts together the senior breakfast on that Friday, their last day in the building, which is always fun to do with the kids. And then graduation on May 17th. We get to see the culmination of all the years of the assignment we went through. Our 8th grade promotion will be May 22nd at 10 a.m. And currently we have 11 students at the state FFA convention. So we have lots of good things going on right now for our students and celebrating our students. And so also I wanted to look at what this year's seniors have accomplished so far this year. So I asked Mrs. Laird to help me pull some data. And she pulled some data of 70% of our graduating seniors have successfully taken the college course in their time at New London, which is in line with last year's number. And currently, we've scored 72 points on the school performance profile for work-based learning. The state average is 45. So lots of good things going on that our teachers are working hard with our kids and making sure they have the success. And specifically for our class of 2026, 92% of them have earned industry credentials or dual credit tied to career pathways. So trying to get them really set up for their future and having them try some things in the area that they think they're headed to. Of the 8%, those 3 students have taken school coursework that will prepare them for the career in their chosen field if they choose to just go straight to the workforce. So once again, all of our students that leave there will have some preparation on a career that they are thinking about going into the future. And 76% of our seniors right now have applied for at least one scholarship, like Dollars for Scholars, or a trade school. 21% have not applied or are choosing to go straight into the workforce, and the remaining 3% will apply for the Dollars for Scholars, hopefully. 3% versus one student. But once again, this is largely thanks to the work of our high school teachers and their focus on the students' ICAP and their advisory groups and the work they've done in college and career readiness between assigning students up for classes, bringing in career speakers, and meeting with parents and scheduling and mentoring students and making positive choices for future careers. Because as we talk about it all the time, we want to make sure every senior has a plan to be like that. And our teachers have been working hard on making sure that happens.
Okay. Anything for Scott? Thank you, Scott. Elementary principal, Mr. Palmetier.
Yes, sir. Spring music concert, Scott talked about that. We are almost finished with our ISASS testing. We have some of our teachers just finishing up. We've got a ton of field trips coming up. 4th grade's headed to the Capitol in mid-May. And Scott was talking about the seniors. And I was collecting some data with Becky Ahern and Tina Garrett about our kindergarten group. 82% of our kindergarten kids are reading at or above grade level. So that's fantastic. And then on the math side, 85% of them are at the end of the year benchmark for fact fluency, which is fantastic. And it's really those data wall things that we have talked about, being able to track every single kid, know exactly where they're at. The conversation with the kindergarten kids, we have about 5 or 6 kids that are way below where we want them to be. But it's a conversation with those kindergarten teachers. What are we going to do to get those kids up where they need to be? at the end of kindergarten. So they've been really good conversations.
Was that compared to last year's kindergartners, or did you test the same way?
We weren't doing that last year. We were just solely relying on classroom data and FAST data, and so tracking exactly where they're reading. Becky Ahern last week, I think it was. Yep, last week. Sat down with every kindergarten kid and had them read the highest level and just track their accuracy, not how quickly they read like FAST does, but just how accurate they were. So that's fantastic.
We don't have any data capacity.
We don't. No.
We will when we take the spring fast assessment.
Yeah, you'll be able to look at it.
Anything else? This problem?
No, sir. Nope. That's it.
Any questions, Todd? Thank you, Todd.
You're welcome.
Number 8, letter A, resignations. Melissa Nelson, special education teacher. She did submit a letter, I believe, and board you had access to that. Should have been a little clipped attachment. My understanding, she's going to be going to another district, so we wish her well, thank her for her service. Is there a motion on?
Make a motion to accept Melissa's resignation.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
We'll take that.
I'm posted. Sorry.
Any other? All in favor? There was a motion made and seconded to accept the resignation of Melissa Nelson, special education teacher. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes, Janae, unanimously. Letter B, appointments. The first one is Matthew Schwenker for assistant high school softball coach. Is there a motion on that?
Make a motion to approve Matthew Schwenker as assistant high school softball coach.
Okay, is there a second? Thank you, John. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion that was made and seconded to appoint Matthew Schwenker as assistant high school softball coach, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes, Janae. Letter B, Taryn Van Amerongen for summer custodian. Is there a motion on that? Thank you, Jen. Is there a second? Thank you, Kyle. Any discussion?
Yeah, Karen did it last year for the first year. She did a great job. She's great part of the team. She works in our kitchen currently, so she's aware of what goes on with things. I recommend with her current pay, that's what we pay her at. And then when the raises in July go into effect, then she will see that.
Okay. There was a motion made and seconded to approve Taryn Van Amerongen for summer custodian. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes, Janae. Letter C, overload contract termination, which includes Joseph White for elementary art as letter A. Do you want to do these one at a time, or? Letter B is Lindsay Wesley, special education teacher.
So you just so you know, every year we terminate overload contracts, otherwise they'd be ongoing. In Joe's case, we have been replacing it or renewing it for the last 4 years or so, but the special ed is always based on student roster weight.
There's information. Is there a motion that you'd like to make on that?
Make a motion to terminate a role contract for Mr. White and Lindsay Wesley.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion on that? Based on Chad's information or anything you have? Okay, motion was made and seconded to approve the overload contract termination of Joe White, elementary art, and Lindsay Wesley, special education teacher. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. Letter D, sharing agreements. The first is John March, transportation director, with Danville. This also is an action item. Is there a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to approve John March for shared transportation director.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion.
So when John March was here, with the recommendation of purchasing a couple of buses a few months ago, he said that he wanted to purchase the buses from, the place in Intercontinental Interstate, because he was too busy with his school districts, that to take something to get repaired to Des Moines or Waterloo would just be too much, out of his time. And we didn't even receive quotes from anywhere else because, he's too busy to be running things here and there and everywhere. So, that honestly is kind of a disservice to our school. Not kind of, it is, because we could have saved anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000 per bus. I realize the value that he brings, but I just wonder if he has too much on his plate with 3 schools right now. Winter not even.
Any other discussion?
So when he had, I have to go back to the minute, but he had different quotes on there that were just different types of buses.
And it was same use vendor.
There's some leasing options.
Options.
They're gas, I think. They're in I think the,
School buses.
I don't remember what it is and what I do, but you just, I think when you share, comments, you share that there's just a lot of recalls and breakdowns and issues going on. And, it's a trip to Waterloo every time. So, 7 miles down the road. Yeah. So, I guess I would want to, have him talk to companies and have them. I don't want to say defend himself, but there's feeling about being shared with stuff.
And we didn't have anything to
I did, because we have a board policy in place that says we need 3 quotes.
Who made a motion for it?
To buy it, I believe Jessica made the motion to purchase the one with a discussion about the second one to be held at the July meeting. Not knowing for sure where we were at. I think, so don't quote me on it.
No, I got
Because I thought he presented up on top, or excuse me, overhead or something, from other places, but yet I could be wrong. I do know I have the one that we acted on. But I don't know if I kept that just because we approved that one or through the other whatever one, so. Okay. Any other discussion on that? Okay, there was a motion and a second for approving John March as transportation director. All in favor of that, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
I oppose.
Jessica's opposed. Becky? Okay? 4 ayes and Jessica is the nay. That passes. Letter B, Mount Pleasant 26-27, high school boys and girls bowling, high school girls soccer, high school dance, and middle school girls wrestling.
So these I got from Mr. Burns. He's had discussion with the AD at Mount Pleasant. Obviously, we're in the middle of the high school girls soccer season. I don't believe we have anybody going. We had a number of kids participate this year in bowling. I don't believe high school dance we had anybody participate this year, but we did have one student attend middle school girls wrestling this year.
Is there a motion on sharing agreement with Mount Pleasant for those various items?
Make a motion to approve sharing agreements with Mount Pleasant.
On the listed items?
The listed items, yeah.
Okay. Becky, second. Any discussion on those? Hearing none, all in favor of accepting the motion and second on sharing agreements with Mount Pleasant for the listed items, high school boys, girls bowling, high school girls soccer, high school dance, middle school girls wrestling, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
I abstain.
Okay. That passes. Letter C, Danville 26-27, middle school co-ed soccer and high school boys soccer.
So the same thing, we're in the middle of the season. Currently, we don't have any high school boys participating, but like I said, we have in years past. We have, I think, about 5 or so middle school kids participating.
Okay, is there a motion on that?
Make a motion to approve the end of sharing of listed items.
Okay, thanks, Kyle. Is there a second? Thank you, Jessica. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion with second to share with Danville middle school co-ed soccer and high school boys soccer, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Number 9, board business. Letter A, 2026-2027, property casualty and workman's compensation insurance. This is just a discussion item. Well, hi, Adam. I'm sure you've got a lot of good news for us.
Unfortunately, I wish I did.
Okay.
But if you did review the packet, I put together just a quick summary. So just so you guys are aware, administration and I got together a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, to go through everything, not only coverages that we have, pricing, just to prepare for budgetary purposes, okay? And so I gave you an abbreviated version. Obviously, if you're wanting to know more, I'm more than happy to discuss, line by line, all the coverage details, just get a hold of me, I'm happy to schedule something. However, I'm gonna start with the executive summary that we put together, just to outline where some of these increases are coming from, not only for your guys' school, but for the whole entire EMC school program. So if you're not familiar with the program, EMC controls all but 10-ish schools for the whole state of Iowa, okay? There is a competing program out there through a competitor. It's not insurance, it's more of a pooled product, but it's available. But just so you're aware, you're not alone, unfortunately. That doesn't really make it any better. But EMC is gonna pass on some school increases to every school that they work with, okay? So on the top where it says projected, and stop me if you have questions, concerns throughout this, okay? The rate average, this isn't for New London, this is for all schools Iowa-wide, okay? So a few months ago or a month ago, EMC got with us and said, hey, you need to make sure you prepare your schools. Here's what I would budget accordingly, okay? This is for every school, again, not for New London, okay? The next item is work comp, okay? So this is gonna be very specific to New London. This is called an experience mod that I'm gonna talk about, okay? We give you a really abbreviated version of it. It goes off of 3 years of history, okay? It's not this most recent year, but the 3 years past. 1 is average, Okay, so if we compare ourselves to other schools, if one is the average, we're not getting any discounts, we're not getting any debits, or added additional costs, okay? Last year we were at a 90, which means we automatically got 10% off of our scheduled credit, okay? This year we're gonna be bumping to a 1.44. This is due to work comp claims our district has had, okay? So we've had a really good year that we had last year, that dropped off, added a not so good year, okay? Just so you're aware, this is going to linger for 3 more years, even if we don't have claims for the next 2 years, okay? So just be aware we're gonna see this for a while, unfortunately, okay? The last thing I'm gonna touch on, preparing for hopefully not terrible news, but we're gonna see more of the average increases, but just know when we have our experience not going up as much as we do. And then the last piece I'll touch on is what's called loss ratio, okay? Easiest way to look at this is if you have $1 in premium, the insurance companies don't want to pay $1 in claims, okay? They have administrative expenses to process everything, we get paid. So on average, after you factor everything in, around 60% is where an insurance company wants to be. So for every $1 they bring in, they only want to pay 60 cents out in claims to break even, okay? We're at a 207% for 5 years, meaning every $1 we pay in premiums, they're paying $2.07, okay? So just be aware, we are hoping to continue to negotiate with them, not to have such a big increase. This is driven by one claim. We can discuss that another time, but just know that the future for the work comp does not look good. We're hoping our loss ratio is gonna improve throughout the couple of years. Questions on the executive summary? Okay. I also included a breakdown of what the premiums estimate to be for this coming year. Okay. So we took those estimates that AMC gave us. We also factored in that big increase for the work comp to put these in. Again, these are estimates just to prepare for budget purposes, okay? I'll be back late May, early June to give hard numbers of how things turned out, okay? But as you can see, where we were, the actual to what we're budgeting, it's about that 12.3% increase. Again, just informational for today. Happy to address any questions, concerns. Questions?
We just love having you.
I know, it's great to deliver news all the time.
Anything, Brad? Thank you, sir.
Yep, and I'll be back sometime in the next month or so.
Okay.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
9B, fiscal year 27 proposed budget. This is an action item. This is what we've had our 2 hearings dealing with.
Yep, so the proposed budget, tax rate is 1565. It was adjusted number after the first hearing because legislative made the decision to pay for budget guarantees, so we were able to make some adjustments. Just for your understanding, Adam just shared the cost of that. So that is paid out of management fund. So Jimmy and I were able to adjust that. And so in the management fund, the premiums that are on your sheet were close to right around 300,000, right? The management, we put 362,000 in. Obviously, that gets paid out over the course of the year to us. But the premiums and costs for the insurance are due September. So sometimes you'll see potentially a negative number in management because we haven't recouped those funds and payments into management until over the course of the year. But we have to pay the premiums up front. So it is 1565, which is just a couple of pennies lower than what it was the last every year.
Good. Is there a motion on fiscal year 27 proposed budget?
Make a motion to approve fiscal year 27 proposed budget.
Is there a second?
One second.
Any discussion?
So, Adam said there was gonna be $302,466 approximately in premiums, and you're levying $362,250. So unemployment, work comp, early retirement, you think that'll cover it?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't, well, this year we did the early retirement a little bit different with the sick days and stuff like that, but, yeah. No, I mean, and that's not carrying over what we have now, so.
You're in that same.
Sorry.
Sorry, I didn't have that.
Yep.
Any other discussion? Okay, there was motion made and seconded on fiscal year 27 proposed budget to accept. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes, Janae. 9C, 26-27 building structures, action item. This is what we've been talking about for some time now. Well, the last couple of meetings, I believe.
Yep, so, at the last meeting, I was asked to sit down and talk with the math teachers. So Mr. Kraft and myself and the two math teachers currently in the middle school, high school, sat down and talked. We didn't come up with any earth-shattering, anything new that we haven't talked about, I guess. What I can say is, what I took away from the meeting, Mr. Kraft, you have your thoughts about it too, is just that they said that in the end they want to do what's best for kids, and they don't believe putting a group of kids potentially online to study math is what's best for them. So we know that there's some change, but they're going to make the change and teach the kids. And then, like I shared earlier, we have posted this since January 13th, and have not gotten qualified applicant that potentially would have another cost to it, such as the one interview that we had about sponsorship. Wish I had better news. Wish we had somebody that could do it, and we won't have to change.
Okay. Is there a motion on 26-27 building structure?
I make a motion to leave the sixth grade right where they're at.
Okay. Is there a second? Okay. All in favor of, yes, discussion, thank you. Discussion on that.
So it's leaving at K-5 and 6-12, right?
That's so if you're leaving the K-5 and 6-12, what do you mean by, so sixth grade will be like independent of itself, or?
I think leave it as is, now we have to find a math teacher.
Oh.
That's what I'm.
So we have to find a math teacher or.
It'd be online, right?
Or it'd be online.
That'd be the solution for that problem,
Okay. Any other discussion on that? Okay, the motion was made basically just to leave things as is now. So, I don't want to put words in your mouth.
I just don't feel like our sixth graders, I understand the hardship of finding a math teacher. We could still find one. I just don't feel like those sixth graders should be used as guinea pigs to try something new. I
So
know
you
that,
think the high school kids should for math,
should what?
should be the guinea pigs for math? But I thought you used to take
Well-
a chance that we still get one.
Yeah, or problem solve, do something a little different.
I just,
I understand, I just wanna make sure I got the motion right, didn't just delete it. Okay. Becky made the motion, Jessica seconded. So we'll vote and, let's go roll call vote, Jeanette.
Okay, I'll do reverse. I gotta think about my alphabet because I did, beginning alphabet first, so give me just one moment. Sorry, Mike, I gotta
Good evening.
I think you're first.
Me.
Yes.
well,
No.
let's understand that the vote. The vote is just to leave it the way it is and keep advertising for a map,
Right,
right?
right. No.
Okay. And then Jen, no. And then Kyle,
No.
and then Becky,
Yes.
and Jessica.
No.
Okay, so that motion does not pass. Would someone like to,
I'd like to make a motion.
okay,
I'd like to make a motion to restructure for the sixth graders, to be not with the current middle school. Logistically, what rooms they're in. Again, I said this last meeting, I would say is up to administration. I personally, if my child was in high school, I wouldn't want to take the chance of them having to have it instructor online or there's a high level math subject.
so just to make sure we're all on the same way. Your motion then is to accept restructuring, but leave the logistics and things up to administration. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, discussion on that.
Isn't the vote though to go down to the elementary, I mean, that's part of the whole thing. That's part of the whole process, right?
Well, just when, so last time I presented 3 options, right? But they moved down, and we figured out space down there. We'd also talked about potentially 6th grade staying here for a year and being sort of independent or whatever.
Right.
But still being on an elementary schedule.
Yeah.
And so what I'm hearing from you, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is you're just saying, you're making a motion for K-6 structure in 7-12, and however administration determines the best setting for those 6th graders, whether it's down here, up here, is up to us.
Yeah. That's what,
And you seconded that?
That motion.
Good. So is there any other discussion on that? Okay. Let's go roll call,
Alphabet. Everyone should have.
however you want to do it.
I hate making people vote all the time, so I'll do it just around the thing. So first and last one always have to go in that order, make it equitable. So I'll call on you first, Jen. Yes. Kyle,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Jess,
no.
Becky.
That passes 3-2. Janine. Letter D, consideration of language for hiring of associates. Action item as well. Mr. Walls, information
Before
before.
meetings go, this was brought forward and then didn't have it on the last meeting. But there was language, and so because there's discussion about potentially hiring a high school senior for that during, sometimes they have a half a day or whatever that they're able to do stuff. So the language that I put in there that just says, sort of gives a little bit of flexibility, is candidates should possess a high school diploma and will be able to work in a variety of environments in and outside the school environment. So, so it says should instead of must have, which then gives flexibility if you feel that there's a senior student that's a candidate. Put them in and help them be an associate. We already do like a TA, we still do teacher assistants, and we have, but those kids can range from even freshmen, all the way down to freshmen. If you want to make it more specific, that should rush to high school or be a senior maybe. That would be more ideal too, so we're not going all the way down to, sophomore or freshman. They typically did not have the schedule that would allow them to do a half a day or a portion of it.
Okay. Is there a motion on that one, consideration of language for hiring of associates?
Make a motion to approve the consideration of language for hiring of associates.
For a second? Discussion?
I just, didn't we before have two? There was one that said must and one that already said should. I just feel should, either we should not have it in there, or,
I just feel like
I just think-
the word should allows you to, so you're just saying it does not need to possess a high school diploma? Is what you're
well,
saying?
if you're gonna say they don't have to, then, I agree.
And let me ask you
So
this.
that's the door too.
Right.
Somebody's gonna have to decide whether this kid is okay to do it. I agree.
But let me ask you this, Mr. Palmentier.
Yes, sir.
When we discussed this, I don't know, a month or two ago, whenever it was, didn't we get clarification that if one of these kids is put with a certain level or a certain grouping of students, that they would have to potentially receive some type of training or something as an associate in case they were left with the group? I thought we had talked about, we wanted to make sure.
And that's not where I'm going,
No, I'm just asking for my
I
own.
think if we're saying yes, we can have current high school kids do it, then I wouldn't put in there should have, I would just.
Right.
I
understand what you're saying. I just want to make sure that if we're going to put those kids down there to work with elementary, obviously you're going to make sure that kid meets whatever criteria or standards there might be if they're working with special needs students, things of that nature.
Yes, the special ed teachers do a lot of on-the-job training.
Okay.
With the students. Yeah.
We would not put that individual with that.
That's my
review with the student. Typically, it's like it's called level 1 student that have either a reading or a math goal.
I think that was a concern. I think you and I both have putting a high school kid in a spot maybe where they weren't fully trained or proper to be in that specific area.
You're talking about this one here is we're going to get paid for it. An actual job.
Yeah.
I just feel like there are employees and there are students. And sometimes students can do way better than employees could. So that's kind of where I struggle a little bit. But I also know that if my child was in special education, I don't know how I would feel if I had a student in charge of their education, or they're, not in charge of, but helping them, assisting. So I don't know if there's something where, if it's a student employee, that they were more of a general para instead of a special education para.
Access students that
I just think that, again, I know that a lot of our students would really excel and might even eventually go into teaching, which is kind of what you want to do. You want to grow your own, but it's kind of a fine line, because I think that they need training. They need to know that there's privacy issues and not just here you go, type of thing. So I don't know.
I do feel like, I was a parent, I wouldn't want my high school for their brains not ready for that, or if there was a legality thing, or, I don't know. I know that we need people in those positions. And then, you could have somebody come along that has a sibling that they have lots of experience with that's, in the same level, and they would be wonderful. So, but right now, we're just talking about if they want them to have, if you want to change this to should, or no.
Well, yeah, I mean, the motion was made to go ahead with it and seconded to the wording of should. So to me, we need to vote on that first. And if that doesn't pass and we want to get more specific, then somebody could make a motion, we could go that route. If that's what you want to do. So the motion was made and seconded to consider language for hiring of associates, which basically, correct me if I'm wrong, Chad, would be that portion would just say should. Okay? All in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Jessica, you are? No. Okay, that motion fails. Somebody would like to make a different motion for consideration.
I'll make a motion, even though I don't agree with it, but I mean, I don't think
You're just bringing it to the table.
I don't think a high schooler should be an associate, period. That's just my opinion. But if that's the way you feel that it needs to happen, I think it should say must. To me, that shows if a kid has a high school, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. I'm thinking college. I just think it should say must at a high school.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion for the wording to say must at a high school.
Okay. Is there a second to that? Jen seconds. Okay, discussion. I guess my only concern would be if you say must, and we have somebody that could do it. My biggest hang-up is where we're gonna put. Are we gonna have a kid maybe be an aide or whatever we're talking here, associate that goes out on the playground? That's one thing as compared to maybe the dynamics of dealing with special needs student. Are we gonna have somebody that's gonna help the teacher in a classroom, a challenging classroom? It's one more set of eyes and maybe help them with their homework or assignment. That's one thing as compared to, again, a one-on-one or something working with a specific ability child. So that's where I get hung up. So
What were the other choices?
that's the dilemma. Should, may. I mean,
Or not requirement.
I mean, I guess what I was at with the whole shit thing is like if you get an applicant for, the associate job, it's kind of up to the, whoever's interviewing them, they would be able to see that and hey, you're maybe a little bit advanced for that, I think you can handle this, and they get the choice, that we think they can handle that kind of job.
I mean, the one thing that you could add to it is that they must have completed being a teacher assistant for this one semester or a year or whatever, so they have that experience at least working with a teacher before and stuff. But it doesn't change the diploma.
or
Because they will be, with the student, let's say 3 hours out of the day. They'll be with them in their general education classroom, potentially working with them, assisting them and supporting that first tech student with whatever their goal is, whether it's math or reading or whatever. Typically, if they go to the special ed teacher, they just go there and they work with them one-on-one or in a small group or whatever. There is potential that they would go out for a recess and help provide supervision. But most of the time, they're going to be with somebody else. Now, could they say maybe they would go out in the hallway at the tables by the classroom and work on sight words or work on math facts or something? Yeah, there's potential that they could do that too. But I think even as a TA, a teacher assistant, they probably read the kids and do that already.
Yep.
So
The motion is must.
the motion is must have the. First, is there any further discussion? Okay, so the motion, Becky, one more time, was must have
High school.
high school diploma, and we Jen seconded that. All right, all in favor of that one, say aye. Opposed? Nay. That passes 3-2. Okay. E, New London Journal named as district official publication. Just a question, are they still called the New London Journal?
Yeah, but it goes to, it's owned by the Southeast Iowa.
Okay.
Southeast Iowa Union, but there is still the New London.
Okay.
We make payments and stuff.
Okay.
So, yep.
Okay, is there a motion for New London Journal to be named as district official publication?
I'll make a motion for New London Journal named as a district official publication.
Is there a second? Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of New London Journal named as district official publication, as motion and second called for, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes. Letter F, 2026 seniors for graduation.
So this is the list of the seniors that are eligible for graduation. Obviously, it's always pending completion of the high school requirements that are in our handbook. So, in our policies.
And that is May 17th, correct?
Yeah, so that's the one calendars, May 17th, 2 o'clock, graduation in the June.
Okay. Is there a motion on 2026 seniors for graduation? Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor of motion and second proposed to accept 2026 seniors for graduation, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes. Number 10.
So there's 3 board policies in there. First is 405.07, that licensed employee transfers. Determining vocational employees' assignments will be carried out, the responsibility within the sole discretion of the board. Making such assignment, the board will consider the qualifications of each employee and need of the school. The transfer may be initiated by the employee, principal, or superintendent. And it's the responsibility of the superintendent to make recommendations to the board for the transfer of the licensed employee. So there's no recommended changes to that policy.
Yeah.
The next one is 405.08 about licensed employee evaluations. It just goes through the procedures that everybody gets evaluated. There's 2 formal evaluations during the first 2 years. And it just says at the bottom, it gives a list of required employee things, demonstrate the ability to enhance academic performance and support implementation of school district student achievement goals, demonstrate competency in content, knowledge appropriate to the teaching position, demonstrate competent planning preparation, Use strategies delivery to deliver instruction that meets the multiple learning needs. Use a variety of methods to manage the learning, demonstrate competency in classroom management. And we touched about before. So those are basically, I guess, the 8 teaching standards that are developed. And then the last one is licensed employee probationary period. Even though teachers are on the first 2 years are on probation to be evaluated, there's always, in the state of Iowa, there's 3 years of probation. So the first 3 consecutive years of a licensed employee contract is a probationary period, unless the employee has already completed a probation period in another Iowa school district. So if they completed 3 years in, doesn't matter what school, when you hire them, and they're on probation just the first 2 years under that other board policy. Again, no changes to this one.
Do evaluations follow the teacher, like it's in the, so you don't?
That's their personal file. That doesn't. No.
So, would someone like to make a motion in regard to board policy 405.07? You want to do these one at a time? You want to group them? What do you want to do?
They're all recognizing each other.
Someone like to make a motion on board policy 405.07, 405.08, 405.09.
Make a motion to approve the policies listed.
Okay, is there a second? Thank you, John. Discussion.
So is this, are we, skipping the second reading? So,
Yes.
Ken?
Sorry, that's my, sorry.
You want that?
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Okay. The motion was made to approve policy 405.07, 405.08, and 405.09, and to skip the second reading by Kyle and seconded by John.
On the, 405.08 evaluation, second paragraph, first sentence, says the formal evaluation criteria is in writing and approved by the board. Is this the formal evaluation criteria right there that's listed? Or is
So the criteria, not it's the formal evaluation criteria.
and is that the criteria?
So the criteria is the 8 teaching standards. Yes. So there's 8 teaching standards, and then there's a criteria to each one of those. There's anywhere from probably 5 to 7 criteria for each one of those. So, nope. I'm not saying that you're writing the evaluation.
No, well, I know that, but I meant for the format of it, but just that they.
Okay, there was motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes tonight. And last on our list would be adjournment.
while we're on the board policy topic, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So, the March 23rd meeting, you had the 500 series of, board policy manual. There were 89 policies, exhibits in there. And I don't know if, I didn't see in the minutes if that was the first reading or a second reading. Do you guys remember if it was the first?
I believe it was the second. And
So it was just like, don't do the, like we just did, we're
right.
avoiding the, okay, because
No, we did it first reading. I'm just going to get back.
of the 500.
Yeah, so 2-7. So they were in there, and then they were in the March meeting. What did you say?
March 23rd.
It was just it was just a matter of,
They were
it
in
wasn't
there.
a motion to skip the second. And so that you know, Jessica, at that meeting, and you had to leave
Yep.
early for yours,
Yep.
there was discussion about, can we condense these into lesser.
And I asked if we had
And-
that many, if we could have them before, just
And I've always
to
said
go through.
yes for that. So moving forward, it will be condensed. Now, I get it. You could say, well, there was 80 whatever of them
Right.
over basically 2 months.
Right.
So, yeah, we had them, but it's still a lot.
Well, I mean, that particular meeting was, it was it wasn't a crazy meeting, but we had a lot of things on the agenda. And the open enrollment, because on these, there's like notes to the board members, and on the open enrollment, the board need to determine whether it will delegate authority to the superintendent to timely approve open enrollments, or if they were gonna do it. And I don't know that, you know, what was decided, what was in the template with the superintendent.
I believe it was left to the superintendent. And I think part of that, I shouldn't say because I'm probably going to watch it. I believe part of that, though, was based on when they're received, if it took our approval all the time for each individual one, what happens to the time frame for a family doing it and going through it. It just seemed to be more efficient to allow Mr. Walls to do that.
But if there was a conversation about the legislation's changing it to 140 calendar days by the
Okay, adjournment?
Motion adjourned.
Kyle, is there a second? Then, all in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed? That's it, thank you.